Ladies and gentlemen, all rise for the RankKing's court.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is Tuesday. It is 6:30. We are here. It is hot. Weather is extremely hot, as you can tell by my little bit more Hawaiian beach style. It's even so sunny I gotta have the shades inside. So it's a rule against that I normally follow through with, that I don't wear shades inside. It's gotta get broken today. Can't ever have it. You can see it going through the window now. But yes, now that all that's settled, welcome to the RankKing's court, everyone. It is 6:30. You are right where you need to be. Tuesday night, we are here with the usuals of myself, Vo, and Greg. How are we, gentlemen?
We're doing great, Austin. We like the shades. I like the shades at least. I don't know about these other two.
Well,
I'm indifferent.
Right now,
Here, different.
This is
don't acknowledge the one until I acknowledge him.
yeah. This is discount risky business at its best right here.
But as we know, we have a special topic for tonight, and in order to do that special topic, you sort of need a special person to do that, right? So whether or not, whatever view of that as you may, please welcome one D-Gen Denny to the show.
Yeah,
Denny,
boy.
finally here.
Yep.
Feels good.
Is it
Feels
weird
good.
that you're on a show that you're not going to be spending money on?
You know what? It does feel very weird.
Yeah.
It does.
Does it feel like a more of a relief that you're not spending money?
To a degree, yeah. Yes, because now I can put it all towards the house, and Abby won't be as mad at me for spending all my money on bits to give to you guys. So
Yeah.
I'm watching
I
that.
mean, we'll still take them.
I'll watch that film.
I mean,
just to make sure it's not
There's
straight.
still a bit to go through for tonight. But yes, before we get into the topic of discussion tonight, we have to figure out which one of you boys is reading that good old ad read there.
I will gladly do it because this beautiful ad read is going to be read live today from Union Fitness Studios, located on the North Shore of Pittsburgh. Union Fitness is more than a traditional gym. It's a place where you can transform yourself inside and out with a variety of classes based around fitness, yoga, strength, and performance training. At Union Fitness, they believe it is their duty to hold themselves and their clients to a higher standards. They practice what they preach and uphold the values that make Union Fitness the community that it is. Go to unionfitness.com today to sign up for a consultation through Union. There is... You're very late on that, Austin. Like, come on.
He started lifting up one, and it felt like he didn't know what he was doing.
Austin, you
Tried to
wore
fake him out.
a goddamn tank top for
We're
this
normally
episode.
in sync for this shit, and he was off. That's why I was like,
I
"Are
was-
we doing this?" Or...
I was not off. I was
I
did
not
that on
talking.
purpose.
I was pausing for dramatic effect. I was waiting for it, and then I was gonna let it go, and Austin could just absolutely show off the display that he's clearly trying to pull off right there. I think he's trying to impress Bree right now, but it's clearly not working well.
Oh.
You got me. She's not even here. So.
Hey, Austin, we have some comments.
So you're trying to
here.
impress then, huh?
I don't got nobody to impress.
I think you're trying to impress the chat is what you're trying to do.
We,
I got myself that's impressed.
we have some comments
How about
here.
that?
Forger said he skipped buying a new card for this. Don't let him down like you always do.
I don't let him down at all, so I don't know what he's talking about. But Forger, glad to have you in the chat. Welcome for that. Derek says, "Bo, is your mic on?"
Yeah, it's on.
I can hear him fine.
I can hear.
Open your ears,
loud
Derek.
and clear.
Yeah.
Wow. But anyway, yes. Before we get into our topic, we got to bring about last week's topic, which is everything that was robots. Now, I thought it was pretty damn good. A lot of people, they're always going to have their trash-ass statements. I don't know where the hat is. I don't know if it's even in there or not.
I don't think you have the right to wear the hat, to be fair. So.
Oh, well,
Yeah, it's
you're
not
not
your
asking.
hat to wear.
Yeah, I don't think you have. You have not been given the authority to do that yet. So.
I never, again, I'm not saying that I'm going to wear it, but I guess we're just going to jump to conclusions like we always do. So that's fine.
That
all
discount
I'm
risky
saying is
business is now 60% risky business. So
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Okay, so as I was stating, there were some trash-ass statements that people were making. Why isn't R2-D2 and C-3PO on the sidekick list? What is the... Shut up!
Who's he trying to
The
impersonate?
whole
I'm trying to
point
figure that out.
of the
One of
pop
his friends,
culture
maybe?
references of the robots were that they were at the top of the pop culture list. You don't think of a robot without thinking C-3PO and R2-D2, which makes them the pinnacle of pop culture. That's where they needed to be, which leaves that BB-8. You could argue maybe BB-8 and Baymax, but honestly, after that, no.
I would argue that when you have to go into detail about something, then 9 times out of 10, it's either confusing or it's a little ridiculous. So,
Or just plain wrong.
yeah, so I'm leaning towards a combination of all three, I feel like, in this case.
Greg, he missed a big robot that you would love.
Which one was that?
Alpha 5.
Oh my god!
I think, was that Boyd that commented that on the
I
Instagram
think
post?
Boyd won.
Oh
Boyd
my
won.
god!
And Karen from SpongeBob, we got a lot of those.
I mean, Karen is a atrocity for missing, but Alpha 5, my god!
Does Osimo from SpongeBob, or not SpongeBob,
South
from
Park?
South Park technically count as a robot at all?
He could. The problem is that
He's not really a robot.
nah, it's like
But he's portrayed as a robot.
he is. That's tough to pass up on. I could consider Osimo as like I consider him an honorable mention. I would throw that in there. I don't know if he could be top 10, but he would be an honorable mention.
I would say so. I mean, more or less, you're deciding between then of the actual Zord and Alpha 5 at that point. You're just trying to figure out which one it is. I didn't have either of them, so that shows you how.
That clearly shows how wrong he is. So yeah, it makes it even better.
Like I said last week, everyone's got assholes, and like everyone's got opinions. Some of them stink, some of them are good. Mine don't. So that's what it is. Now we move on into tonight's topic.
I mean, they do smell a little horrible, but that's just me.
Danny, we both play this game. I'm currently playing it, not right now as we speak, but I've been currently
You better
playing
not
it.
be playing it right now.
Look at me. No, since I've moved in, I can't stand not playing it at some point in time. Tonight, we're going to talk everything Borderlands.
So excited.
Must not be a lot to do in Butler.
Probably not, man. I've been there a couple times.
It's a local day town. We can go by and hit up the old barbecue joint. That's about it. But like, this is it. My time by myself, I love it because I'm playing Borderlands all the time.
Which
And-
one are you currently playing?
I am currently playing Borderlands 2 as the Psycho class Krieg. We're gonna get into all this stuff sooner or later, but it is by far one of my the first time ever playing as this class, and I love it. I don't understand why I didn't play it as like this from the start, but you live and you learn. Now, Denny, why don't you give the boys a little bit of insight as to what the concept of Borderlands actually is? Because people get a little bit confused, like, what's the purpose? What are you doing? Like, is it a single campaign, multiplayer? Like, what exactly is Borderlands, Denny?
So Borderlands, it's definitely one of those. I mean, I would say first-person shooter kind of games. So you're sitting there, you have a bunch of different worlds that you are going through as a certain build of a character,
Okay.
and your goal, there's one villain that you are ultimately trying to beat and destroy. And along the way, there are many different smaller villains that are under this person that you are trying to go through to get to like the final mission.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different things you can do. There's a lot of side missions that you can get a lot of really cool guns with. I feel like Borderlands is almost endless, and Austin, I'm sure you can agree to that. Like, there's just so much stuff. There's so many guns. There's so many different builds you can do with these different characters that all have different types of special characteristics. So
I think that's the fun point about it, right? Is that the possibilities with Borderlands are essentially endless. And we'll go into more of the games when we talk about it, but even when you beat the game, you have a chance to go ahead and beat the game again, just on a higher difficulty with more advanced infantry. You get to keep all your weapons, and you can do it that way, and then you can play the campaign again even harder. Which, Denny, have you ever beaten the campaign 3 times? It took me, I've only done it once. It took me a while.
So shout out to Sean Eknat. He's been my my Borderlands buddy ever since I really got into it. But him and I have spent countless hours beating the game over and over and over again. So I can't say yes. So I think it's Ultimate Vault Hunter mode is the last one.
There's the regular, then there's True Vault Hunter mode, and then there's True Ultimate Vault Hunter.
So I've beat True Ultimate Vault Hunter mode twice with my buddy Sean. So I've only got to go through it twice. So
it is very hard when you're playing a single player, because there's really
difficult. Holy shit.
Yeah. Let's not waste
Austin
time.
probably had his brother help him.
No, actually, no. When it comes to the Borderlands, I'm pretty sure the Moorhead family, I'm pretty much the only one that goes about that route, and I'm fine with that. I don't need anybody in my way.
It's the only thing that he can hold above every other Moorhead.
That's fair.
It makes a lot of
That's
sense
fair.
now. I can understand why he picked this
Getting the
topic.
Jackson there all today, Greg. I'm not sure why we are, but we'll move on when we talk. Denny, let's get into our first radical ranking. But all right. So the first radical ranking, Denny, is going to be an interesting one, because originally people only think they're going to be about maybe 4 games, but there is a 5th one, and we're getting into the top Borderland games. So, I mean, we all know, you and I know at least, I think what the right one deserves to be. Hopefully. We're going to find that out, though.
I really hope that you disagree.
It would be pretty fun.
I'm gonna see what Austin has to say about this one, because I think we're gonna have 2 different opinions.
Oh.
I mean, I'm fine with differentiating as long as it, doesn't suck. I'm gonna go there. So, one game we are gonna go to, unfortunately, that
Just dropped
kind
my
of
hammer today, Jesus.
fell off the map a little bit for this one, and it wasn't necessarily its fault. It just kind of went in a different direction of other Borderland games, and that's number 5. We're going with Tales from the Borderlands.
Okay, I hate to say it, I actually agree with Austin for once.
Oh, that might be a first.
It might be,
Might be a first.
for all we know. At least you saying it in a microphone. You probably have agreed like outside, but you just didn't have a camera around.
More than I care to admit.
That's
absolutely.
fine. That's fine. Yeah.
That'll definitely be a clip right there. Save it for future use.
Yeah, don't worry. People will have to really go hunting for that thing.
But yes,
400 said already wrong.
Tales from the Borderlands does something that the other Borderland games essentially take out of it. And that's literally everything about Borderlands that makes it great. For me personally, I don't know if you guys have ever played like any of the Telltale game series, but it's essentially just decision making. This is literally what you do in the game the whole time, is that you make a decision and that person either remembers it for good or remembers it for later, and that's just not what Borderlands is. It's not a game that you go into with a strategy, with anything. It just doesn't happen. That, and Denny can attest that a lot of the times it's mayhem, chaos, and they shrunk it down to the point where, like, after the whole series of Handsome Jack, which we'll talk about because this is what that's based on, it really just, because I was excited. I was like, okay, this is going to be a little like a new Borderlands game. Fell off as soon as I heard about it. I said, this is not what I want. I saw a demo of it and people were pissed. They didn't want this.
Yeah, I can agree with Austin. Again, I hate to say.
Oh.
Wow.
Shit.
This might be a
Man,
new
you gotta
record
stop
tonight.
saying that.
I know,
You're gonna
I
like.
know.
Yeah,
I'm,
even if
I'm
you
never
don't
coming on the
agree.
show again.
If you don't agree, just don't say.
Don't say anything. Just give a nod or something like
Yeah.
that. You know.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Austin right
Yeah.
here. You can see me shake my head.
So we've learned Austin's not a fan of Telltale games. He's not a fan of pushing buttons to progress stuff. So he's not a fan of Bandersnatch, the Black Mirror movie. I can clearly tell from that. So that's very unfortunate on your part, Austin.
Well, it's just that when you have a game based on just absolute nonsense and craziness, to shrink it down and minimize it, it kind of insults the player.
Yeah, it's not the Borderlands that you expect. It's not what you're sitting there like what Austin says. It's not the mayhem that Borderlands is made for. It's just like, okay, well, why am I playing this?
Exactly.
Foreigner says he got it because his friends wanted to play, but they never played it, so he never played it. That's probably because you don't have many friends, Foreigner.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Everyone's just throwing their jabs in tonight.
Why are you?
I just had to.
I don't
Why
feel
are you
like-
throwing jabs at the
Sorry.
chat? What's wrong with you?
I'm sorry, it's
I
Foreigner.
don't feel safe anymore.
I mean,
There's
yes.
jabs going everywhere.
I mean, yes, I know. Yes, I know it's Foreigner, but still, it's a loyal guy.
Let's
He knows
continue
it's a
with the
joke.
jabs as we hit on to number 4.
What is a
Borderlands. Number 4, Borderlands the pre-sequel.
Okay, so I think 5 and 4 could be switched here, but it's a very close one.
This is worse.
I think they're both equally as god awful,
Okay.
if not the same.
Is this basically Borderlands 1.5, pretty much? So like just basically
No,
something-
this is actually Borderlands 0.5, between 0.5 and 1. Like this is, so in retrospective, this game was released after the second Borderlands.
Okay.
But it's a prequel, but the beginning story takes place after the second game. Hence, pre-sequel. It's
Ah.
actually a story that's told by one of the Vault Hunters that you'll be, and we'll get into all those in a bit. But this is by far, if we're talking of the normal Borderland concept, this was by far, I think, one of the weakest. And I will say it's weird that you have to rely on like a DLC stuff to make this game a little bit funner. But I was very, very bored a lot of the campaign. I don't know about you, Denny. I felt
was too. I was
like-
very bored. The only reason I got this game was because it was part of a special whenever
Right.
you bought the one Borderlands pack on Xbox One. So I was like,
Giant.
okay, well, you get like 4 games for $30 instead of
Yeah.
only buying like Borderlands 2 at the time. Because Borderlands 2 would have been the one I made the jump from 360 to Xbox One. So if you got the special Handsome Jack pack or whatever it was, you got all the cool stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly, and I got that on actual disc, was the Handsome Jack pack with Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel. I really thought this was just going to be, because after the second one, we kind of, like I said, we'll get into him, but we encounter a villain beyond any shadow of a doubt is, I think, one of the most notorious bastards to ever walk the planets, and that's Handsome Jack. And in this, you're essentially told the story of how he became Handsome Jack, and wow, was it watered. Like, more than this is supposed to be the crazy psychopath that runs everything and anything, the sarcastic asshole that's always in your ear telling you how much of a piece of shit you are. Like, I was very disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go ahead, Greg.
I didn't realize you were a glutton for punishment.
Well, it's just that when you develop this,
This whole
So-
show now makes sense now that I think about it.
Right?
I
Right.
know. I'm starting to learn something about Austin's mindset. Oh my god. It took us so long.
It's all coming together.
It's
now.
all making so
It
much
all
sense.
makes sense.
Okay. Now I'm getting somewhere. I think we've had a breakthrough.
anyway, in retrospective, the first Borderlands game that I ever played was Borderlands 2. And I was enshrined by the beauty and everything of what this character was, how complex he was. And I wanted to see what made the onion start to curl and slither away to see all those slices. And man, it was just rotten, to say the least. I mean, it's still Borderlands, so I still played it and I still enjoyed it for the most part, but it was by far the worst out of the actual Borderland games.
Yep.
So.
You just really made me not want to ever eat onions again because that just sounds so disgusting.
Well, you know,
Thanks a lot, Morgan.
don't watch the episode of SpongeBob where he eats that. Anyway, Borderlands at number 3, we have the original, Borderlands 1. And maybe Denny agrees with this. I think he does. But
Yeah.
personally, the first Borderlands game was a nice idea to start with. That's what I'll put it. Because in my honest opinion, nothing exciting was about this game. It was just another off-world shooter that was like, okay, you know, this is kind of cool, you know, all this world, all these different guns and everything. But nothing quite made it stand out. Right? Like nothing was like, oh, this is cool. It wasn't until like the other Borderland games came that I was like, okay, like I get it. This is great. This is what I want. And maybe it's just the tipping point of what they wanted their game to be, Denny, because I enjoyed playing it for the most part, but it lacked something for me. Like it was not boring, but it was essentially like
It's just it's another first-person shooter. That's the way I looked at it too.
Yep. You had certain vault hunters that could have different abilities and different specialities of weapons. You have one that's more of a melee-based style. You have one that bases all on rifles and shotguns. One bases on elemental weapons. So it's a lot. It was a lot that was decent, but it didn't have the spark. I needed the spark from, and again, starting off with the second Borderlands and then going back and playing it, I was like, man, like this is like, it must have taken a lot for people to play the second game in order to get this going. But I mean, it was okay. Like I don't have any shadow of a doubt of how, you know, poor or whatever it was, but it introduced us to some of our loving characters that we'll talk about later, because
Yes, it does.
I enjoyed every second of those from, well, I'll just say it because he's on the IG ranking, good old Claptrap. That
son of a bitch.
He's a shit robot that everybody hates. And honestly, Denny, I appreciated him more in the later games, even in this one, because he was just a guide in this one. He wasn't anything else. In the later games, you're like, fuck that guy. Like, fuck.
I couldn't tell you how many times Claptrap annoyed me so bad in the later games where I just wanted to take whatever gun I had and waste every bit of ammunition just straight into him. And he just wouldn't die and he wouldn't shut up.
So is Claptrap like the thoughts from the bench Austin, basically?
Oh, Ethan, no.
I mean, the way that you're kind of describing him, it does kind of sound like he's you.
Steph says yes.
Yeah.
Agree with
Yeah.
I would,
Oh,
you know,
Dre.
no,
Dre's
yeah, I was going to say
Dre could be
Dre.
Claptrap.
Dre is
Okay.
most definitely Claptrap.
Okay, that makes more sense now that I think about it.
Austin, how does Claptrap move?
How does Claptrap move?
Yeah, Deke wanted.
He has, it's a wheel. He has a wheel.
Yeah.
Austin, do you have a unicycle in there? Unicycle on the screen.
You definitely have a unicycle. You definitely do.
Yeah, he strikes me as a big unicycler.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
I will say, Denny, my favorite part of the whole Claptrap thing is when after you complete a mission, he offers you a high five, and I always run away. I never high five him. All you have to do is hit the melee button, and he turns. He's like, "You've earned it!" Like, just like shut the fuck up.
It's like, no, I'm out of here. Peace.
Is that because you're frustrated? You just don't want to high
It's
five?
his birthday party mission.
Oh my! I was just about to say that. Literally, so this mission, and Austin's talking about, you literally have to go through the one town. It's called Sanctuary, and it's just like your home base almost. And you have to go around to everybody in this town and ask them if they want to go to Claptrap's birthday party.
Oh, geez, that's the mission.
It's a mission. Everybody
Nice.
says no.
Okay.
Like everyone just flat out is like, oh yeah, no.
It's like, I'm kind of busy. I don't think I can make it.
Exactly.
So what's the goal? You just have to get someone to go?
No.
No,
Ultimately,
you
nobody
go.
goes, and you go back to this party. He has this big stack of pizzas sitting there. He's like, "Oh yeah, any minute, someone's gonna be here." There's a timer on the top of the screen, and then finally, with like 10 seconds left, they go, "Well, I guess nobody's coming. And that's it. And then you get the mission completed.
It sounds like a good mission, though.
The mission completes, and then he goes, "That was the best birthday party ever!" And I'm like,
Aww.
he's the literal, like, but yes, as hilarious as he is, everybody basically fucking hates him. Like, it's an annoying little robot that apparently, Denny, I don't know when their movie's gonna come out, but I guess the robot's Claptrap's gonna get played by Jack Black.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that works out. I don't know when that movie's coming out either, so I'm really curious to see how it turns out, when it's going to be.
Knowing how video
there.
games get turned into movies, I'm sure it'll be wonderful.
It's a mixed bag. I'll give you that. It's a mixed bag.
Oh, yeah.
It might be a good one.
Let's hit our number 2, the most recent, Borderlands 3. Is this where our opinions differ, Denny?
So, I hate to say it again.
Oh no!
No!
Don't do it.
Just
Don't do
do what we
Don't
told
say
you.
it. Don't say it.
Just do what we told you.
You know, I think Borderlands 2 should be number 2.
There we go.
There we go.
That's
All
what we
right.
wanted to
All
hear.
right. Thank you. Thank you.
No, so in all honesty, these two games are so freaking close together for 1 and 2 here. And the reason I say that is there is not as much available to you in Borderlands 3 as there is in Borderlands 2. And I think that's a big limitation that Borderlands 3 has. The only thing I will say that I like about Borderlands 3 versus Borderlands 2 is the fact that you get mayhem modes. And mayhem modes make the game infinitely more difficult. You get much cooler loot, and there's just a whole bunch of cooler shit you can do to that regard. But in Borderlands 2, again, there's just so much stuff. Like, it's kind of like you can never get bored of Borderlands 2.
Right.
Yeah, Steph actually agrees with you on this one, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, this is the way, like, I wrote how many articles on Borderlands, and when I found out that there was a third one being made, finally, I said, thank God. Like, I've played Borderlands 2 in and out. My controller's basically got my blood on it from my hands for how long I've been playing it. I need another Borderlands game to get through. And as much as I enjoyed it, there was a certain element missing, even though it felt like there had more in it, if that makes sense, Denny. Like, in this one, you don't just stay on one world. You go to multiple worlds through the use of a space station that you're able to transport through.
Yes.
And instead of just going through one vault, that basically your whole campaign is to go through as many vaults as you can to find the one true vault.
Yes.
Good.
Another thing that I will say, though, that Borderlands 3, in my opinion, did better than Borderlands 2 was the DLCs. I think the DLCs were much better made in 3 than 2.
Yeah. A big thing, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was added in Borderlands 3. You could, it's a very minor thing, but you could slide now when you're, like, running. It was so frustrating that when, like, something was coming at you, I couldn't just slide and shoot up, but now I could, so that was really nice. Very, very big one was the legendary weapon upgrade that you basically got. The whole point is that you're trying to find loot and cool weapons and everything, and there's these legendary weapons that pop up that are, each weapon class has its own color. You have, like, white, green, blue,
It's
purple.
very similar to Fortnite.
Yeah. And then finally gold. And then gold is your legendary. In the other games, they just popped up, and you were like, wow, what where is it? I can't find it. In this one, it literally lights up like an aura around it, and it shows up as a star on the map. So you never lose it. Like, you never lose the place of this weapon that falls, which graces the loving of all our Vault Hunter people that try to find treasure, because it is a pain in the ass to go back and miss a legendary.
Yes, it is. I will say the lost loot chest is also another big perk too.
Yes. And which basically you can go to, and by paying a certain amount of money, it'll transport every single weapon, gun, loot piece that you missed to that exact location, and you'll get to choose what you want to take with you again. So I think they realized that a lot of safeguards were put in place for this game, and maybe that's what you could call it, Denny, is that this game was safe.
Yeah, I would say there was definitely a lot more care taken into, I guess getting your loot and whatnot. So yeah, safeguards for sure.
Yeah, and I enjoyed the villains, like the Calypso twins, which they were basically what. It's funny because they are essentially like evil geniuses that are trying to take over the world, but they're also streamers in a sense. Like they have their own show and they broadcast all over the web, and that's how they get all these fans and everything that are trying to be their loyal subjects. I think it's absolutely funny.
So like the worst kinds of people in the world is what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like they have their own broadcast.
TikTok influencers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. That's exactly what it is, Bo. I'm glad that you picked that up. But yeah,
That's what Steph said. I don't want to
Yeah.
take credit for her comment.
Yeah.
that's
Do
basically
not.
what.
Steph will get pissed at you now.
And finally, at our number one, I'm currently playing it. I don't think there's ever a time where I'm not playing it at some point. Borderlands 2.
The game
It's-
that made Austin's hands bleed a lot.
Yes.
I'm glad to know you have weak hands, Austin.
No, just
Fragile.
very frustrating. Denny can attest.
Fragile.
Fragile. Good point.
Denny can attest. This game can get so frustrating when you're playing as single player. It is incredibly frustrating at some points. One thing I will say that they did amazing, that they took from the first game. In the first game, if you got shot and you basically ran out of health, you went into what was known as a last stand mode. So if you were able to shoot an opponent to the point where their health would be gone, you would revive. But in the first game, you couldn't move. You just were literally just sitting there as a last stand scenario. In this one, you're able to be sort of a crawl mobile, which is so much better than when you are standing still. It is
Does that mean you get shot a lot? Does that mean you're not good at the game if you're always in last?
No,
place?
and Denny can attest to this. In some aspects, it is better a lot of times to get knocked down as much as possible, depending on what character you are.
Yeah,
Because
you have so many different builds that you can make with so many different characters. So you can build your character to one degree to say, hey, if I get knocked down and then I revive myself by shooting an enemy, I get X amount of bonus damage on my next so many shots. So
Right.
some of the times, yeah, you were trying to get knocked down, so you got a ton of bonus damage and you could get through like a stage on a level.
Okay. No wonder Austin likes it then, because he probably got knocked around a lot growing up. That makes sense.
I will say, and I can say this because he's not in what we're going to be talking about. I'm currently as, like I said, Krieg, the Psycho class. And basically when you start leveling up, you can check mark stuff off your skill set list. And for one thing that I did was, instead of going into a last stand mode, I go into what is known as a pull the pin mode. And when I get shot down, instead of shooting back and being very little mobile, I am completely mobile and I have grenades. And as I throw grenades as I'm running around. And at the end, I basically just hold it up in the air and I take whoever I can with me. And if that's the case, if I knock someone off, I come back. And I think that's so weird to have that as the characteristic of a build, but I think it's funny beyond all hell. I'm working my way up to Denny. When you get up to the final portion of it, you can transform yourself into a badass psycho if you're put down enough. So that's what I'm trying to do at this point.
He's trying to get knocked down a lot. Makes sense.
So you can get back up again.
That's true.
Okay.
But that's how it is. The top 5 Borderlands games. Let's move on, because I know we spent a lot of time on that, but I'm fine with that. Let's move on to our second radical ranking. All right. So this is maybe our play stance. This is our pitch. The second radical ranking are the top reasons why Borderlands is badass.
I'm all ears. I'm all ears. By all means.
He's getting comfy.
By all means.
all means, show me a pitch. Well, I will. Denny, help me out if you can. Number 5, the campaigns.
There are so many cool campaigns where you can get so much cool loot to make your character so much better. I mean, there's just so many different things that you can do. The possibilities are endless, like I said before. So I can definitely agree why this is one of the many reasons why Borderlands rocks.
And a lot of instance for let's just say this, for the second game for Borderlands 2, your prime objective is to stop Handsome Jack. But there's so many other things that you can do in the campaign to build yourself up to that level. For instance, there is a side mission that Denny and I appreciate so much when you go to a place known as 1,000 Cuts. And there is a guy named Shooty McShootface. and his literal mission, when you go up to him, is, "Quick, shoot me in the face!" And that's the mission.
And you just shoot him.
Shoot. But if you shoot him anywhere else, he gets pissed. And he's like, "No, shoot me in the face!" And it comes up, it's like, not in the body, not in the leg, not in the arm. And when you finally shoot him, he goes, "Thank you!" It's very creative and chaotic and everything that it is. But you go from like a campaign where you're trying to bring down Handsome Jack to in Borderlands 3 where you're trying to take down the Calypso twins, who essentially are both sirens, and we'll get into the classes and everything when we go on further, because each class has their own certain ability, and certain people enjoy playing with certain classes. Some are like, I'm going to stay far away from those. But the campaigns, they have a lot of, they're difficult, and they have a lot of things to teach you as a gamer, so to speak. I've learned a lot just from gaming, from playing these campaigns.
I mean, and you're a teacher, so right then and there, that's already amazing from that you can still be learning. So if it's educational, that's a great facet. I don't know if I want to be educated, but I can understand.
It's always educational, so that's what it is. Number 4, guns, guns, guns.
And guns.
And guns.
Guns are cool. We like the guns.
Okay.
And when he says that, there are over, I can't even tell you, there are millions of guns, different guns in this game franchise, ranging from your basic shotguns to rifles to elemental weapons to weapons that are elemental but also have special abilities.
And the names.
Yes, the names are hilarious. Which I'm gonna, Denny, if you could look up some.
Oh, I got it. I'm already ahead of you. I got a few.
I love it.
We got the right sizing bitch, one of the best guns in the game too. We have Moxie's crit. Moxie is one of the characters who's like this big busted woman who's like just this bartender who always is like hitting on you essentially whenever she's talking to you in the game. We got the hard rod, the goat rope shield. What else do we have here? The Fuster Cluck.
That's a good one.
I like that one.
That's
IMC Foots a shout out the lob.
the lob. Oh my gosh. So my favorite gun in the game, I will say, is the conference call. I was always a Salvador gunzerker, which is essentially like you hold two guns at once, and then you build it to where you just get a ton of bonus damage. And the conference call would shoot not only straight, but it would also shoot sideways at the same time. So I would have two conference calls going at the same time against any enemy while I was in gunzerker mode, and I would just destroy everything in front of me.
A gun that I very much appreciate, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a legendary shotgun. And you would fire, and as a reload, some of these guns that reload, you throw the actual gun, and it explodes like a grenade at the enemy.
Huh.
So this gun that I have not only did that, but it was a heat seeker. It was a missile, essentially. As soon as you let go of it, it would find the enemies and shoot at the enemies from a distance. And then when it was done doing that, it would ram into them and explode.
It's recyclable. I
Yeah.
like that. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
Saving
we're
the
promoting the right message here. I can get that.
There is a
Saving the
grenade.
planet one bandit psycho at a time.
There is a grenade called "It's Piss" with an exclamation point. Just,
Huh.
just the most
These
off
are
the
some
wall
great
shit.
names.
Yeah,
Great
it's
names.
crazy. Double
can't-
penetrating Kabasa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we'll get into another element of why that makes this so great. There was even one where I'm pretty sure it was called either E equals MC fucked or like something like
Yep,
that.
that's it.
But you would throw a grenade and it would bring in all the individuals and it would shock them all at once. It would be like a continuous shock until one of them died.
Boy, I'm just feeling stimulated from all the education being thrown at me right now.
I'm telling you,
There's a shotgun called the One Pump Chump.
yeah. It is. It is.
Wow.
Denny, hold off on those. I love this. We're gonna get into our number 3 of why Borderlands is badass, and that is the open world. Now, a lot of people, if you're into Skyrim, if you're into something that's more open world, like this is your style, like this is the game for you, maybe more in Borderlands 3, I would say,
Yeah.
if you're truly gonna be like open world by going to different worlds. But even like Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel have so many locations on the one planet that you seem stimulated by it enough. Now, there's certain places, Borderlands 3 definitely has the best ones. They have, you would go from like metropolitan futuristic city to almost a Mayan temple to a very jungle Jurassic World.
And even
Like,
a
there's
casino
no-
in a DLC.
Oh, wow.
Even a casino.
No
Is that
one,
your
no
favorite
wonder
one?
it's your thing. Okay,
It
makes sense.
It all,
Makes
it all
sense.
makes sense now.
Handsome
Denny,
Jack
I've
Black.
always wanted to ask you, Bo, clip this because I want this. How often did you spend at the vending machines in the Borderlands games?
I busted every single one of those damn things. Where I'm sitting there, especially in the Handsome Jackpot DLC. I kid you not, every single little slot machine that there was, I would just take my gun and just go crazy. Every single one, and just took all the money.
Jesus. There's a so when you have these slot machines, you're able to bet certain amounts of money to like get stuff back, which is why I was asking them, because
That is how gambling works. Yes.
you could see how that would work. I just wanted to know that because
Oh.
I know how much of a connoisseur of betting you are. So
Millions upon millions of Borderlands dollars have been spent.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Let's hit.
IMC Foot says it's endless.
Oh yeah, it is. It really is endless. And you know what else is endless to a sense? Our number 2, the characters.
Seems that way. Seems that way.
There's
So many
like
things.
there are 24 Vault Hunters in total, I think, so far, Denny. Because Borderlands 3 did not have any DLC Vault Hunters, which I was surprised to say the least. I figured they would have had at least 1 or 2, but you know, I'm not the creators. I understand how that works, but each one, like for instance, the characters in Borderlands 1 that you play as become main huge characters in the game going forward, allies that you can talk to, learn from, and everything. Even your simple like pissed off claptraps to horny ass bartenders like Moxie to all these different individuals. There's literally a guy named, is it Crazy? Yeah. There's literally a guy in there called Crazy Earl, who you exchange this, you exchange this what is known as Iridium, and you exchange it for like different perks and everything. And all it is a slot. It's a what you want.
Too bad. Get out of here.
Get out of here. But and then you have like people like Tiny Tina, who is one of the most hilarious characters in the entire game. And when you first meet her in Borderlands 2, she's a 13-year-old, but she is a master in explosives, being traumatized as a kid. So you'd like use explosions to kind of mask that. And she has this quirked up energy that if she believes that if she doesn't move, she'll die. Like, she has to keep moving in order to do all this stuff, and she makes 2 bombs out of bunnies named
Yes.
Flashy Bitch Tits and
Felicia, I thought it was Felicia Snugglebuns. Or
Oh yeah, you're right. Felicia Snuggle Muffins and something else.
It's like
I got
Captain Sexo Pants or something.
Yeah,
I forget
there
what
you
it
go.
was. It's
Yep.
just completely bonkers, off the wall.
So it definitely sounds like a.
Well, she's promoting physical activity, always being on the move. So that's
Yeah,
again, that's
that's
educational.
true.
Okay.
Very educational.
I'm
And
getting with it. I'm getting with it.
Then you have people like Moxie's daughter. God, she's so funny. Ellie. She is essentially mechanic, and she's essentially like this. She's a giant ass woman, like 300, 400 pounds.
She a big lady.
Yeah, and she lets you know it too. She's always flirting with you and like saying how she wants to be like just one of the guys and everything. And her brother Scooter, who makes these things called the catch-a-rides. They're your basic system to create vehicles and move around the world. Scooter is what we believe is hillbilly Denny in a
Oh
sense.
yeah, for sure. Like straight up
There-
redneck.
Yeah.
There is a scene where he believes you're from this company coming to get him, and he's like, "Oh crap, is you a robot? Oh, I knew my time would come, but I just want to let you know, you ain't gonna take me alive, you saw bitch." Like, it's just
And then like
It's-
at the end of that like little intro scene to where you meet Scooter, and he goes, "Oh, you ain't high period," and then he becomes super cool with you.
So Morgan makes a good point. This game is not for children, right?
no,
Okay.
no,
Good.
not in the slightest. You could. I don't know how responsible you would
Yeah.
be, but you could.
I feel like it would be a great learning opportunity for the youth of America. Just saying.
Really would expand their vocabulary.
Yeah.
Which again leads into our number 1 of why this game is badass. This game series, the crude and dark humor.
Now you're
Yes.
piquing my interest because I am all about dark humor right here.
And
There-
Well,
there's a
there's
guy named
so
White
much of it.
Stallion.
Yes.
There is so much dark humor in this game
And-
franchise.
Anthony Jeselnik is my favorite comedian, so I mean I'm all about the dark humor. So just
That makes sense.
load it up on me, buddy.
I'm saying when you have a character in a mini mission that's essentially wanting you to shoot him in the face, that says something. Claptrap, for how many times, basically says he's depressed, but he can't change his voice style, so he sounds happy. I just want to let you know, I'm actually quite depressed.
Huh.
There's instances of just how many times there's these things called nomads where they're essentially just giant beefy guys, but they use shields and they have like midgets on the shield to protect them.
Yeah.
So there's
Huh.
half the time you're just like shooting at midgets trying to get at this hole in the shield. What else is there, Denny? There's so much. Like,
Oh, I mean, you got the main ones that I was thinking of right off the top of my head. I can't think of any other ones that like really come to mind right away. I'm sure something's gonna pop in my mind in like 5 minutes from now, though.
the first boss that you ever face in the original Borderlands, Nine Toes. And each boss has like a caption that pops up that describes them a little bit. And it's like, 9 toes. Yes, he has 9 toes. ... He also has 3 balls.
Huh.
And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Huh.
Fun facts for you.
Oh, so one just like kind of.
Yeah. I don't know how it works.
Okay.
But there are different like variations of these bosses that you face that are absolutely hilarious. There's a one point in I think either the pre-sequel or I think it's the pre-sequel. You face off against this like alien entity kind of brain thing, and it makes him look like from The Martians, like the movie The Martians. And it's just so. There's a mission where you have a choice to like jump off like a bridge,
Yeah.
and like I could pay you this money to do it, or you could just check no and send it in, and you get just as much like stuff in a gun. So, and that was like the dark humor of it. Was like, well, I could do it, but what happens if I actually succeed in jumping off this cliff? Like, I want to know what happens. So you would just essentially sacrifice your character, and as soon as that happened, he comes on like, you fucking idiot, I'm not paying you shit for jumping off. So you literally get 0 money for jumping off. And it was one of the things that was like, oh, damn, why did I pick that option? But the crude humor for this game is exactly why it rocks. Denny can attest to it. It's so unbelievably funny in a dark way that every sarcastic person will love this game franchise.
Yeah, there's just so much to laugh at while you're playing, and it's just so much fun. Like, you're always sitting there doing something, having a good time, and then all of a sudden something off the wall is said by one of the characters. Like, okay,
that's true.
Well, what's next?
Okay.
Well, it's true. If you wait too long and the game is like docile a little bit, your character will essentially yell at you. Like mine, who's like crazy, he just goes, "Nipple twist! Nipple twist!" Like just shouts it, and it scares the shit out of me every time because I'm like looking at my phone like on Twitter or something, and it'll be like nipple twist, like. But it is a great game. I want to go into so much more, but we're losing some time. So I'm going to jump into our great debate. Whew. All right, everyone, the great debate. Now, Denny and I will help you guys with this since you guys are going to be new to this. But essentially, the great debate is if you were in Borderlands, what class would you choose and why? So you guys are more than free, you two, to Google the classes if necessary, or you can ask Denny and I for assistance. What I need the audience to do right now is to decide the goddamn order. So think about that for a couple of seconds while we get our boys in order for Googling the classes.
Yeah. Thankfully, there is a Borderlands wiki, which I'm not surprised at this point.
Well, there's so much wiki.
The wiki is endless.
It seems like that.
Whew.
So, my question though, which Borderlands are we going off of? Are we just going off of all of them?
We're going off all of them.
Oh, I
So
love
any
it.
class that you can choose with, which I love. I'm going to do this comment right here, which Grind Project says Vo, Greg, Denny, and then me. So Vo, I'm gonna tell a little story here so you have time to pick a class. There is a horse that is introduced in the Borderlands game franchise that is literally made of diamonds, and its name is Butt Stallion.
Great name.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. It literally throws up diamonds and urinates rainbows, and it's absolutely hilarious as to why that's even a thing. But that's the one characteristic from Handsome Jack, is that he has so much money being at the top of this conglomerate that he can spend his money on literally whatever he wants. But the diamond horse, he said in the thing, he's like, "Oh shit, I was gonna get this violin and play it all sarcastically," and just when you left, he's like, and when he finally gets it, it's so bad, he's like, "You know what, screw you, it would have been funny, but it wasn't," and then he just sends like 3 waves of robots to try to kill him. So Derek says Vo is Butt Stallion.
I agree.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like, to a T.
I'll
So-
take it.
Vo, do you have your class, good sir? Are you still looking?
Are these classes here, Benny?
No, so those are the builds. So,
Where we go?
go to what are the classes in Borderlands 3? Because I think you may want to stick with Borderlands 2 and 3. They're fairly similar in terms of what classes that they offer. It's the newest one that's out there, so yes. And then there's a couple that kind of overlap, I think. So, I think the Siren's the only one that overlaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Siren overlaps between 2 and 3.
The soldier class a little bit, but it's the same presence, just not entirely.
Yeah.
Would it help if Denny and I would go first?
But unfortunately, someone decided to be a jerk off and go the opposite route.
That's not me.
I know it was Forager. That's why I'm throwing him under the bus on that.
I'll go
We
with.
appreciate you, Forager.
So Moe's is a class.
Yeah, Moe's is a class.
Go with Moe's, the gunner.
That's a good
So
pick.
yes, so
High impact damage, combative and explosive.
Right.
Sounds pretty like a pretty good pick.
So, Bo, just to give you a backstory on your class that you just took, Moe's essentially climbs into a giant mech robot, and it's virtually almost indestructible. It's one of the more safer options for a class because, if you're doing that, if you're choosing something to protect you or like an armor piece or anything like that, those are always going to be the best options. But for you literally climb in and it's just like 2 like turret gunners that you have on your arms.
And one can be a machine gun and the other can be literally just nuke missiles that you are shooting at people, and it's just so much destruction. So much.
I'll take it.
Cool.
I feel like it's a good pick for me.
Yeah.
All right.
You're going to have to move the thing over for me to read it all because I have a screen blocking. Thank you.
Which now leads to Greg.
All right, keep scrolling up. Keep scrolling up.
What are we thinking? I know you're reading. I'm going to read some of the comments. So the Necromancer class is interesting because it's about a girl named Gage, and she creates this robot that protects her the whole time, but she doesn't realize that it gets jealous when other people come near her, so it murders them instead of protects. It's terrible because it's like, again, like, so entrapped in romance and blind love that it kills people to try to believe that they're saving it, which I don't believe that's your style of class, Greg. I think you're more of something else. So
I'm kind of leaning towards the operative.
Oh, so you're Zane. Okay, so
Yeah.
I like Zane.
Yeah. So operative, if you want to go ahead and explain this one, Danny.
So Zane in the operative, he has a drone that essentially is launched. So it's nice because you almost have like a doppelganger that's created. You throw out the drone, and
That's cool.
the drone is sitting there doing all of your dirty work and gives you time to either flee battle
Love
or
this.
just absolutely just destroy everything and do damage while you're continuously doing damage as well.
I love that.
So I played through as Zane my 3rd time through Borderlands 3, and I loved it. It was so easy to get through some of the missions just because you'd have his skill tree built up to the point where you just throw him out. He takes half the enemies, you take half the enemies, and you're through the level.
That's really cool. So you basically it's kind of like a drone that like is also like creates a hologram type thing
Yes.
of yourself. Oh, that's awesome. Okay,
Yes.
I'm all about that.
Yeah, and then like there's one like special perk where you can actually like switch places with your drone if you have your skill tree built to a certain way.
That's
So
cool.
say you throw them on the other side of this like area where you're fighting, and like you get overwhelmed, you can switch real quick, and then all of a sudden you're free and clear.
Yeah. All right, I will gladly take that. That sounds
That's a
amazing.
good pick.
All right, Denny, you're up for yours, man.
So I will say I started Borderlands 3 as playing with Moe's, and I love playing with Moe's just because the amount of damage you could do. Borderlands 2, I was always the Gunzerker, so I had that appeal to really go towards Moe's. But what I found to be the strongest character in all of the games combined, and really could just really knock some damage into somebody, was the Beastmaster Flak class. And I loved playing as Flak because I could have a dedicated pet that had different abilities, whether it be healing you whenever you're getting hurt from enemies, or you have somebody that's just doing absolute damage like crazy, and then you get a ton of bonus damage. there was just so many different capabilities you had, and then with the DLCs and the add-ons that they made, there were even more pets that you could have as companions, and there's just even more capabilities. So there's just so much things that you could do with the Beastmaster class. I just love the versatility.
And you are a dog person, so it kind of speaks to you.
I'm a big dog guy here.
So the Beastmaster class was actually the class that I started with when I first got Borderlands 3, Denny, because I thought it was interesting that I could have a certain pet that would accompany me. You could have, at the time, you could have a skag, a rack, or a spider ant, I believe, which was what you would have. And the thing that I loved all the time is I would always max out the blue level, which was the basically there's an element in Borderlands 2 called slag, and it's replaced with radioactivity in Borderlands 3. And when you use this power up, not only does the pet become radioactive, but it grows to almost the size of like a giant boulder and just attacks other people and gets points for you. And there's perks where like it'll attack, and every attack builds up health for you. So I love that. And that's the one I was going to pick, but it's all right. I will go with strictly, I believe, what is the best class in Borderlands. Really surprised you didn't pick it, Denny, but I'm going with the Siren.
Yep, the Siren is just undoubtedly one of the best classes in the game. It gives you so much power to manipulate. Like, say if you're playing with somebody else, you can just manipulate the map so much with the Siren just by having a phase grasp capability.
So Sirens, let me just put it this way. There are only supposed to be 6 Sirens in the universe at one time. That is how powerful Sirens are in a whole. That alone. But their Sirens have different abilities. For instance, Lilith, the main Siren in the games you'll go on to play, her ability is the phase shift or phase walk, in which she turns invisible and can run faster at a certain length to escape certain situations. Then in the Borderlands 2, you have Maya, who is also a Siren, but her abilities are quite different. As to when your special ability, you create this giant ball of energy around an enemy, and it lifts it up into the air, and they're stuck there. So then you can do all your damage with your guns while that person or enemy or bot is stuck there. And then finally, you have probably the most overpowered Siren in the entire game franchise, Amara. So when her Siren abilities come on, she grows 4 like Siren arms and can like use like ninjutsu type moves and throw different energy styles and different beams. Like Denny, like go on, man. I can't.
It's just not even fair. With like my buddy Sean I mentioned earlier, he was always the Siren and I was always Beastmaster, and it wasn't fair. We breezed through the first portion of the game. We breezed through the first 3 mayhem modes. Then we started to get to 4. Then it started to get a little difficult. But it was just simply because having that matchup, it was just unstoppable.
Yeah, and the fact that, like I said, there's only supposed to be 6 of them in the world, as they know. Like when one dies, one's able to be reborn or replaced or whatever. But if it is not, it unbalances the world, and it's a fucking bad place to be when there's more than 1 Siren, or more than 6 Sirens. So, but yes, I thought that was a good one. I think everyone's kind of happy with what they choose. I know Greg's happy with his operative. I know that Bo's happy with, being in a tin can that can shoot.
Yeah.
I like that. And then you have Denny, who, just has to be around animals. Like, I get it.
I could put a tin can on you right now if you want.
Yeah, let's go.
So, with that being said, after I, casually try to burp off screen, but I'm not.
I mean, I feel like you gave up at this point since you took your shades off, so yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were keeping them on the show.
Oh, now he's
So,
what?
Sit there, be square, because we will be right back after this commercial break for the basically top 10 ranking of Denny versus Wheat. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Josh. I like pizza. Do you like pizza?
When the moon hits your eyes like a big pizza pie.
We've let it coagulate. Show Greg.
king of coagulation there.
Coagulation is key.
Ooh.
Homemade Greek ranch.
Do you like watching people eat pizza? Help me, because I'm on the quest to find the best pizza in Pittsburgh.
Hand-forged pizza. Vita Vita Vici. That's amore.
Make sure you're sending in your recommendations for the best pizza in Pittsburgh, because I'm gonna go, I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna hold it to my standards.
It's the aftertaste is the barf. It's where the barf comes
Oh, yeah.
I agree, it's bomb pizza. Can your favorite pizza place pass the test? Find out.
Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. We are at the ends rope of our Borderlands talk. I'm not sure what the concept of this is going to be called yet, but I'm kind of assuming it's a overthrow the king, chance to overthrow the king, because
I think challenge the king.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, especially because Moorhead isn't here and he can't say anything about this. Denny, feel free to use this beautiful piece of weaponry.
Oh boy.
To try to counteract.
Use the gavel already?
I mean, he is challenging you, so therefore, he has the right to be able to use it.
I feel if he beats me, he has the right to end the show.
Oh my.
I think that's the right.
I don't know.
Anyway, we are going to be talking about our top 10 Vault Hunters from the entire Borderlands game series. I asked Danny to bring his top 10 Vault Hunters. I obviously brought mine. So this is how it's going to go. Danny's going to say his, and then I'm going to say his. It's going to go back and forth until we finally reach our one.
Notice how this little shit is making you go first, by the way.
Because he's scared.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
a little ridiculous. I feel.
Nope, I was told that was happening.
You can go either.
I mean, technically,
That's
who exactly were you told anything? I mean, come on.
I was just told, hey, get your list of vote by last night.
We can go Austin first.
I was gonna say, yeah, a true king should always go first.
I can go first if you so choose.
I don't care. I'm so confident in my list that I can go first.
It's up to you, man.
Okay, I'll start.
So Danny's going first?
Yeah.
Alright, so your number 10 is...
Roland.
Any comments, Austin?
So Roland, the soldier class, it's your typical, when I said certain classes were good with certain weapons, this was your basic, knows how to shoot basically any weapon. Kind of like your overall, like, guy, like, it's good with anything, but not great at everything. So I get it why it's 10. My 10 is actually Athena, the gladiator from Borderlands the Precinct.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from with Athena at 10.
Yeah. She's not the greatest, Athena, in my mind. She has certain abilities. She has a shield that will light up with different perks. She can throw it like a boomerang, but it's not essentially what I want. I've never been that defensive style of character, so having a shield and basically being a wannabe Captain America without knowing the knowledge didn't sit with me. So that's why it's in my number 10.
I feel that.
Denny, you're number 9.
So my number 9 might be a little bit high on the list, but I'm gonna go with Maya.
Ooh. So high or low, you mean? Like low?
As in like Maya could have been lower in other people's, like closer to 1.
Oh, so high. So
yeah.
High. Yeah, okay.
Higher, lower, same, but different.
Same, but different.
All right. So any particular reason why Maya's a 9 for you?
So I can think of other sirens that could rank higher in the list. You have to involve the sirens in this top 10, no matter what way you look at it. I mean, as you mentioned before, there's 6 of them in any given time. They all got to be part of this, in whatever way you look at it. So I had to get my included somewhere.
Cool. I don't hate it. Is that your? I will say I'm not going to say that because I was about to ask. Is that your only siren? But that's a little
You'll
bit
find
slow.
out.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah, come on. You should know better.
We don't ask you questions.
What I
like
will
that.
say,
We just
spoiler
poke fun at
for you,
him.
Yeah.
and my number 9 is one that Denny has already mentioned. Number 9 for me is Roland the Soldier. I personally felt like a good overall character is good to start out with. Same as like, you're playing a video game and you're like, well, this character literally has medium stats for everything. It doesn't have high stats for everything, but it has medium stats for everything. So I trust that more than one that has one high and one that has a completely low stat. So Roland at 9.
Bless
Thank
you.
Should have done that off screen.
That was the grossest sneeze.
Yeah, really,
Hey,
man.
I think you got some on that camera.
What
Yeah,
the hell?
wipe your lens.
You gotta be a
Jesus.
professional, for God's sakes. Learn your shit.
Figure
Do you
it
have
out.
number 8, Dennis?
Number 8
He's going
is
full first name, so he's pissed off.
Amara.
Wow, really at 8?
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Explain
Another
your-
one.
I will admit there are some that you guys agree on.
Yeah, I know there are. I know this
It's
is
not one
another
of
one.
them. Explain.
Oh, he's pissed.
So-
He's heated.
So for me, granted, I definitely think Amara is a very strong Vault Hunter in the game, but I personally had much more fun playing as other characters. So this is one of those things where it's very opinionated for this pick. I know could have been ranked a lot higher,
He's
but
mad. Look at him.
Austin,
he's salty.
Austin, get your eyes up close to the camera.
Now you know,
Get your chest
now
out.
you know how I feel every fucking week when I
Preach!
watch your
Preach!
show.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Is this my Wendy's? It's not my Wendy's.
Mike-
Notice how he had to take. Notice how to put these glasses on to be
I
able
don't-
to actually get brave enough to get to his camera and actually
I
show
will
some
say-
like anger right there.
Brave enough. Damn. Anyway, my number 8, I will be going with. We talked about it, Denny. Like, I get this character, but is he relevant to the Borderlands scenario of all these different Vault Hunters? I love him. Number 8 is Flak for me.
Ooh, that's a shot right in the
I
leg.
know, believe me. Like,
Dude.
this is the one character that I thought was great in Borderlands 3 when I played him, but it almost felt too easy, to say the least.
Again, it depends on how you build your character. Flak is by far the strongest, depending on how you build him. So, and I've researched it a lot because I really want to know where's going to be my damage output, like that I could really just go through this game and have a good time doing it on the highest mayhem mode. Flak was the one. So I'm going to disagree with you and say that he should be ranked much closer to 1.
He's good for me, but like I said, I incorporate a challenge a little bit, and I think I built him so powerful that I went through bosses that were supposed to be really hard, and they just weren't.
Were you on the highest mayhem level?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair.
The giant robot, like when you go to rescue one Tannis, was supposed to be like the hardest boss.
Takes like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it takes like 2 seconds. I said, oh, okay. Like, that's not that difficult.
Look at all
And-
these legendaries on the ground now that I just got from killing
Exactly.
this boss in 2 seconds.
But it's also the fact that I love the robot humor that is Flak. He's an android that knows how to control animals, and it's absolutely there's a skin where it's just him and a mustache, and it says trying to be human. So I enjoy that per se. But that's my number 8. I know it's not a popular one, but it's just too easy.
Yeah.
Too easy.
I get that. So
Your number 7, Dennis.
my number 7 is Vo's pick for the Vault Hunter, and we're going with Moe's.
Good pick.
Middle of the road. I mean, nothing too flashy with Moe's. It's not a different Vault Hunter from a previous Borderlands, but it did offer a challenge depending on how you built Moe's, and you had a lot of fun getting in that robot suit and just absolutely destroying everything.
Yeah, this is where we're going to agree here. Like you, I have Mose at number 7. And I think that's right where she needs to be. And it's nothing against her, but it's almost like this has been done before kind of thing in a retrospect. But I do enjoy the story. I enjoy Mose's story, I think, more than most people, that she was essentially, I don't think whatever rank she was in the army or whatever Hyperion army, so to speak, but she was kicked out and she went back and like took revenge on all her cohorts that like threw her out of the academy or whatever. And then she basically just became a gun for hire.
Yep.
With a robot that basically has a connection with her. So I get it, but not necessarily where I want it going forward.
She
But
looks like she's straight out of Starship Troopers.
That's basically what she feels like.
Okay, I can get with that then.
But yeah, Mose at number 7. What's our 6, then?
I have Mordecai and Bloodwing at 6.
Mordecai, it's okay. I'm interested now. So, Mordecai, for those of you guys that don't know, is the original hunter class or sniper class in the first Borderlands game. I'll go into more of his character, and then Denny can explain the class. But he's essentially a little bit of a drunk, and he
Right up my alley.
Okay,
okay.
makes sense.
But,
Makes sense.
His special ability is known as what's known as Bloodwing, and it's a bird talon, so to speak, that can go and like do certain tasks and everything and help you out. But Denny, why a little bit lower than most people expect at 6?
So, again, with Bloodwing and Mordecai, I love the story that's part of Borderlands 2 with them. I enjoy how Mordecai is so involved in that storyline, and how Bloodwing is just essentially destroyed by Handsome Jack.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay.
It happens. It's
But
alright.
but no, I mean I love the whole sniper aspect. I love how he's incorporated so heavily into Borderlands 2, and that's where he's put at 6 on my list.
Yeah, 6, I'm going to go in a different direction. My highest one from Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Number 6 for me is the human-android counterpart. Number 6 for me is Wilhelm.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
So Wilhelm, which he's introduced in Borderlands 2 a little bit, but the story of Wilhelm isn't a very long one, but it's a good one. How he had this disease that made his bones so brittle that they would break on impact. So what he decided to do about that was he got various cybernetic implements and infections that he would put into his body. And essentially, like your basic tattoo art person that loves getting tattoos, he became so addicted that he needed, it wasn't about the bones anymore. It was about being virtually a full robot. And he went about this. I love that he's a brute, mean, nasty son of a bitch in this pre-sequel. And he eventually becomes Handsome Jack's number 2, which he is used in Borderlands 2 to fight off against those Vault Hunters. Everything connects on a very empirical spider web. But I loved the story of Wilhelm, of how it's a very simple man with a very simple addiction, and his class section fires 2 turrets, one that increases your health and one that fires like against enemy opponents. So it's more of a soldier-based style, but with various cybernetic enhancements that I very much appreciate.
Calling addiction simple is not okay, Austin. Just saying.
Not what I'm saying, but
I think it's what you just said.
it's a simple story. That's what I said, but it's all right.
Still saying what you said.
Happens. Denny, shoot me number 5.
Number 5 is Brick, King of the Slabs.
King of the slopes. So, I incorporate Brick to be the bro of the group. He's the one that would like high five, slam a few beers back.
Oh, it's
Like-
it's what you attempt to be. Okay, I got you.
No, I'm not. This guy's
Austin could never be Brick.
That's why I said attempt.
Oh no,
Attempt.
Brick can't even attempt to be this
Does Brick
guy.
have
Brick is
sunglasses?
the one in
He
the
does
He
not.
does not.
Rick is the one in the first Borderlands game that I said relies on his physical ability. All his
Oh yeah, that ain't Austin. Okay, never mind.
literally like pounding things into submission. He would use his fists a lot.
Yeah, that ain't Austin.
In a disagreement with the original Vault Hunters, he leaves and becomes this king of the slabs, as Denny calls him. And
Sounds like that.
he's just a hilarious. He's just a hilarious dude. Like, his initiation is essentially throwing all of his men at you at once to see how you do. And when you kill them all, he's like, I just gotta say, that was awesome! And it's like, no, your entire army is dead. This shouldn't be a good thing, but he's literally he is the bro. He's so funny. Just all these, he's like a man-child almost. And it's very, I love the pick.
That part's definitely Austin. Okay.
But
I see tendencies, yeah.
what I will say, Denny, is I will be taking your favorite, I think, at number 5, Salvador.
My goodness.
I saw the expression in your face.
Wow.
Wow.
So, various reasons why, Dennis, and I don't do this often. I enjoy playing Borderlands 2 the least with Salvador, and it's not a personal thing. I just don't, as much of creative chaos as I like, I love to hold on to that strain of control that I enjoy. And when you hit Gunzerker mode, all that just goes out the window, and I just can't. I with my ADHD, I just can't focus. I can't. Like, there's so much happening all at once that my brain gets fried.
So what you're telling me is you never taken 2 conference calls with Salvador and went up against the boss.
I went and took 2 rocket launchers, and I felt like I was having a heart attack. But
I'm
it
telling
was
you.
You need to get that looked at, bud.
You need to go get 2 conference calls. Go up against any given boss, like Terramorphous, or why am I blanking on who like the main boss is? Like in the story mode in Borderlands 2.
The warrior.
Like, yeah, the warrior. If you go up against the warrior, or you go up against Terramorphous, and you take those 2 conference calls in Gunzerk, and then you get a B shield within 5 seconds. I kid you not, gone. Just try it. When you go loot farming, it is such a fun time.
Also, I didn't know originally that he was a dwarf. I was just like, he's just a small man, but he's an actual dwarf.
See, I can relate to him. Short guys got to stick together.
Makes sense now. Makes sense.
Guys, I get it. All right, Den. What's number 4?
Number 4, you have already went with this character, but I'm going to go with Flack.
So you have him in the top 5 at least. I love to see it. There just wasn't enough personality, I think, for me to have him up this high. Is that where you're going off of basic just gameplay skill with this?
Yeah,
Like,
so I took this as who I enjoyed playing with the most.
okay.
So Flack, there's just so many different ways you could play with them. I really enjoyed just really sitting there, changing the skill trees, and just trying a different style. And whenever they added more skill tree capabilities, there was even more things you could do with them. So it was just one of those things where it was like, all right, back to the drawing board, let's see what else I can do with this guy. And I just had a blast doing it.
The one pet I will say that I love to have is the Jobber.
Oh, yes, I was about to say that too.
For you that don't know, it's a monkey, but it's a monkey that has a pistol.
Oh, wow.
And you can upgrade it so much that this monkey gets like a rocket launcher and shit.
Oh my god.
And he can revive you too. So like, say you go down in your
that's
last
clutch.
stand,
Okay.
he'll run over to you and revive you instead of you having to shoot.
I mean, there's scenes where like you go and pet it and it like poops on the ground, and it's like, did you just excrement yourself? Oh, okay. Like, it's a very weird game and concept. Your 4 is different than mine. Like I said, my 4, I'm going with Mordecai.
Okay. I can see that.
The reason being is that he was one of the characters that I felt had so much on their shoulders and so much like inner rage and just conference ability that I couldn't leave him out of the top 5. For, like we said, spoiler alert, he does lose his like one companion in Bloodblade, and seconds later he is taking his sniper rifle and shooting everything in existence on the planet. Like, it is
just full-on rage mode. It's awesome.
He literally tells you to duck, and then all you see are all these enemies coming, but they all get shot down like within seconds. But I love the fact that, you know, you first meet him by like setting something on fire, so much to the point where it wakes him up from a drunken stupor, and he just wakes up with a beer. He's like, "Why is everyone so angry? Jeez." It's like, I love it. And like I said, I'm a huge sucker for the sniper class. Gotta love all the sneakiness that goes along with it. That is my 4. Let's hit number 3, Denny.
Well, you mentioned sniper class and you mentioned assassin. I mean, we got to go with 0 at this point in time for number 3.
0 as just a number. Oh, man.
He is the epitome of assassin. Literally, like, looks like a ninja, carries around a ninja sword, and the bonuses you get with him in the sniping realm are unbelievable.
He also speaks in haikus.
Oh, really?
I'm liking this guy already.
Awesome.
That's cool.
He literally speaks leaves falling from the trees, wind blowing through the air. Nothing better than blood on my blade. And I'm just like, okay, that's kind of dope. He's just not even caring about anything else. He's just speaking in haikus. 0, who is, like we said, the sniper companion that you get in Borderlands 2, becomes a huge ally to you in Borderlands 3. I love it. I love everything about 0. 0 was the first character that I played as in Borderlands 2 based on the intro. I said, I want to be that guy that just put a sword through 2 people. That's cool as shit. Sadly, he's not my number 3. My number 3 is Amara, the Siren from Borderlands 3.
I had a feeling that was coming.
It's just like, it's too simple to not put her in the top 3. Like, her Siren abilities, better than any other Siren in the game, better than, I would argue, any other class in the game. It's so much. It's a little overwhelming with how it goes, but if you know how to use it correctly, she's the most powerful character in the Borderlands franchise.
So convenient to have whenever you're playing with more than one person too. It makes the game, I don't want to say much easier, but it does make it a little bit less overwhelming.
Oh yeah. Let's round about our number 2. Danny, what do you got?
Well, you talked about this gentleman in number 5. I had to go with Salvador.
See, I knew that was coming for you. I think we're
It's just my game. It's my game.
personal favorite.
Yeah, it's
Right.
my gameplay style, man. I love the chaos. I love just being able to go into Gunzerker mode and just absolutely shit on everything in front of me. I was the conference call guy where I just sat there, had 2 conference calls and a B shield, and then all of a sudden there's 20 enemies that are dead on the floor within 2 seconds.
I get it. You're the maul down, shoot out now, this is how it's going to be. My number 2 reflects my game style, for which I am the sneaky, very manipulative sniper from a distance.
So opposite of him in real life.
Give me the haiku speaking 0 at number 2.
Okay, so we're not too far off.
Yeah,
I
No,
like it.
This is like I said, this is by far, I think, my favorite actual character, not revealing to this ranking. Like, this is my favorite character in the whole game, just because we really don't know anything about 0. Like, even you're supposed to go through the game and find out, you literally find out nothing about 0.
He's so mysterious. So mysterious. And then, if I remember correctly, it's 2. I think it's Borderlands 2. It might be Borderlands 3, where 0 turns on you. It's 3?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. He turns on you at one point, and it's like, what the hell is going on? Like,
and there's really no reason to justify it because
Yeah.
we don't know who the character is. So is he doing it for money? Why the hell is he turning against us? Nobody knows. So I will take my mystery with a grain of salt of a sniper at a distance with Zero. And Dennis, I think we're both knowing who our number one is.
it's a no-brainer at this point. So I'm just gonna roll the rug out to you because I mean, there's no need for me to bring it out because I mean, I believe we agree on this one. Along with any big Borderlands player,
It's not just based on the character, it's how, like, or not even the character, based on the skill set, it's the character itself, what she brought to the table. Like, the main component, people cosplay as her on the daily at Comic-Con. Give me Lilith, the Siren.
Yes, sir.
Like, you can play as Lilith in Borderlands 1, and you meet her in Borderlands 2, and she is the queen badass bitch. Like, she talked about how in Borderlands 2, how she melted a guy and accidentally, and she said it was awesome, that she felt invigorated by it, and we're like, okay,
Well then.
not what I was expecting, but her siren powers as she gets older throughout the games, like, they come to a fruition of how awesome this character is. And, you know, I'm not giving anything away, but the whole story arc of her is absolutely incredible.
That game, like in Borderlands 2, like she is such a great guide in that game too. Like it just having her in the main storyline is incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean, Christ, she gets us into markets to the secret shop, and we get all that cool stuff. So that was always my like one of my favorite parts. Like I always got to like treat all of it, like sweet, I'm about to get a bunch of cool shit. So
Which Marcus is the one that sells you guns in this game, and he's so cheap. He's like a humanized version of Mr. Krabs that is unreal.
he is. After every time you buy from one of his vending machines or his shops, you just hear him go, "No refunds."
No refunds.
That's Mr. Krabs.
There's a scene where you first meet him in Borderlands 2, and this guy's like, "Can I get a refund for this? This gun doesn't seem to work." And he goes, I don't know. And he takes it, and he shoots the guy right in the kneecap. And he's like, "Oh, looks like it works for me." And it's just like, oh my god, like, this dude doesn't give a shit. Like,
I don't think not many characters in that game give a shit though. But
no,
like,
that's
what it
great.
sounds like.
it's great.
It's just another thing about why, like I said, I encourage you guys, go play this fucking game.
Yeah.
Go play this game series. It's incredible. I mean, if you're interested, Greg, go get Borderlands 3 and play as Zane. Vote. Go get Borderlands 3, play as Mose. Like, I've been wanting to play with multiplayer with you guys, with certain individuals for Borderlands for so long. So, maybe I'll hit up Denny. Who knows?
Get a 4-man squad in there.
I mean, I feel like at this point you have to play a game with Denny now, just because of
I have to.
seeing
Well,
how much of a.
Here's the best part too. The more players you have in your party and you play together, it gets infinitely harder to play
Yes.
as well. So
Really?
so you can be in the highest level mayhem mode or vault hunter mode. Plus, as your party gets bigger that you're playing with, the more difficult it gets.
Wow.
So it's a lot of fun, and then the guns get infinitely better. So you get a ton of really cool.
The harder levels you get, the more impressive loot that you get, which is risk-reward type of scenario. But, Dennis, go ahead and give your top 10, like, round them back real quick, and then I'll give mine, and we'll close out the show.
All right, give me a second here. I'm gonna just pull up my list here instead of Vo having to go through every single
I got
one.
them pulled up.
Oh,
Just
you're the
pull 'em up.
you're the best. All right.
Right there.
10, I have Roland. 9, I had Maya. 8 was Amara. 7 was Mose. 6 was Mordecai. 5 was Brick. 4 was Black. 3 was Zero. 2 was Salvador, and 1 was Lilith.
shoot mine back real quick. 10, Athena. 9, Roland. 8, Flack. 7, Mose. 6, Wilhelm. 5, Salvador. 4, Mordecai. 3, Amara. 2, 0, 1, Lilith. We will be putting these up on our Instagram. Vote to see who had the better ranking, the king or the paladin or peasant or whatever the hell you want to call him at this point.
Yeah, just for that, you get the gavel.
You got the
DJ,
Get out of
always
here.
love having you in the studio. Thanks for sitting with us and nerding out over all this, especially to our 2 others, Greg and Bo. I know this was a whole new world to walk through, and
I think
I'm
we
glad.
opened their eyes, though, Austin.
I feel invigorated.
Yeah, it
I
sounds
would
like a
hope
fun
so.
game.
I feel like I could run a marathon.
A marathon?
Yes.
I certainly won't after this, but I appreciate your willingness to do so.
Forge says Denny wins.
Oh, there it is.
He gets the
There it
gavel.
That's it. I win.
I will let our guest Denny close out the show, though. Thank you to everyone who tuned in and watched us. Check out our shows that go on bi-weekly. You have this, you have 2 Beers Deep, you have the Idiot Hour, or Draft Day, which will be not next week because of Memorial Day. It'll be the week after. So choose wisely when viewing. Don't hop up on Monday expecting a show.
Go out and celebrate Memorial Day.
I will not be there. I will be having several beers.
There you go.
Several.
You know what? Several is limited. You want more than several beers.
Several cases.
There you
Several
go.
cases.
There you go.
But until then, everyone, again, thank you for tuning in. This was a blast. Denny, thank you again for being on the show. What show can we expect you to be on the most, and what your knowledge brings to the Thoughts from the Bench brand? Like, what shows are you on that we can see?
Gentlemen, you will see me on Sundays with Boondock Bangarang, which is our gambling show, as well as Draft Days on Mondays. And, of course, you'll see more of our lovely Thoughts from the Bench crew on both of those shows as we go along there. But more to come. A lot of fun things we got planned in the future here.
There's a lot of Motley Crue type stuff that you'll see, basically.
I love it. Well, when Denny gets out the Pink Whitney, I will salute you all. Thank you very much for tuning in to our Borderlands special at the RankKing's Court. Tune in next Tuesday at 6:30 to see what the hell we talk about next. Until then, Court is adjourned. Denny, you may
Court
hit the gas.
is adjourned.
There we go.